Center and TIE would like to welcome you to an engaging and informative event. Thank you all for coming. We are sitting in the GMR Seminar Hall in the Science and Technology Bhavan.
As you
Mr. Prasad Babu, founder and CEO of GCRS.
and we have with us Mr. Harshvardhan, founder and product lead Prof Club.
Dr. Giri Rajashekar, CTO, Tragic Technologies Private Limited.
The panel will be moderated by Mr. Raghu Ishwarapu, President TIE and the CEO of the hub of our hub incubation system.
Thank you for taking time off from your busy schedule. Let me now hand over the proceedings to Mr. Rak.
Now that we're going to get started and people have also come in, others have come in, may I request all of you to please put your phones in silent mode so that you don't disturb the proceedings. Thank you. Over to Ravi.
Okay, thank you. I think you can move one seat so that you're center row. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ravi Ishwarapu. I am currently President of TiE Andhra Pradesh as well as the CEO of Andhra University Incubation Council. We currently have about 110 odd startups or companies on the campus, largely North Campus. Now we will be moving to the South too. And today, I have my good friends on stage. I know them for quite some time. We're going to talk about future of work, how we see a lot of things happening in the life. Now maybe the thing that's trending is ChatGPT, how it's going to impact life. I'm pretty old guy, so this is supposed to be Y20 young people. I've seen one transition. There were a lot of people when I used to have a type writing or a typing institute right opposite to my house, and a lot of students used to practice typing, and because there were stenographers, typists, and typewriters were the days, and when the computers came in, people did not accept the fact that they would eventually replace a typewriter. So I've seen some sort of these changes that have happened. One that was a very prominent, and I also remember SBI folks going on a 23-day strike of not accepting computers into their systems, and then there were a lot of promises of not losing jobs because of computers coming and typewriters going. Recently, if I say my own example, I've exited out of a company which I built and it was in the healthcare place. I've seen 2 or 3 things very recently, not much. Heard of medical transcription? Anybody can tell me what medical transcription is? What is the business of medical transcription? Anybody?
Sir, it is related to the prescription, sir. Provided they need to code that.
Okay, I'll take it, which is basically in the US, everything that the doctor talks to the patient has to be recorded and documented. So previously, all that the doctor talks of was recorded. The voice notes used to come into India. People used to convert that voice notes into text, and there used to be a quality team to check if the data is right, and then that used to get stored. Because tomorrow, if the patient goes against the doctor and then goes to and files a case, so there is something that is the evidence that is documented. So all this, Vizag used to have at least 20-25 medical transcription companies. Today there are none. They just vanished in the last 10 years. Just reason is because one technology which is basically voice to text conversion. Automatically now the doctor talks, it gets converted into text, the text comes in, only 10% which is the quality part is left, which is got consolidated and it's in a few tier 1 companies. So this industry just disappeared. So technology comes, newer things happen. So today we are going to talk, we're going to hear from people who run businesses, who actually are in the technology realm of things. And good that they are all from startups because they are in the forefront of technology adoption. So how is that going to impact the future of work? How is it going to, how people should be prepared for the future skills that we have to be ready with, because artificial intelligence taking over, all the mundane jobs going. Automation is not new, it is there, but it's going to become more and more prevalent. So productivity increase, the companies will have to go and take up technology adoption, which means lesser manpower. But how should you start adopting to technology to move up the value chain and be ready for the future? So that's what we are talking about. So maybe I'll start with the person center of the stage, Rajneesh, my good friend, and also person. Okay, I'm part of the startup. He heads. He was an ex CTO at Commercial Corporation, which was later taken over by now DXC, yeah, HP. So he was CTO for Ashton New Zealand, found a problem area, came out and started his own IoT company. So now he runs an IoT largely retail and also in the industrial space. So with that, okay, if I was okay, the question is 20 years back. I've never imagined that what we are doing today, like consolidation of 20 odd different products into one mobile phone, or things like what we are seeing like a chat GPT and the things, not unimaginable. So if I now have to even talk of what is going to be the technology 20 years from now, I'm not able to even think of those things. So how do you see this transition happening, especially you're dealing with a lot of corporates and in their automation or then moving towards Industry 4.0? So your thoughts and how this is going to transition over the next 5 to 10 years?
Thank you, Ravi, and very good morning, everyone. I'll try to keep this very simple, right? The evolution is like a continuous process. So does the transition in terms of technology also. Fundamentally, if you look at what technology is doing, it is making people more productive. That's the bottom line of it. Okay, so yeah. So that's the bottom line, right? It try to make us more productive. And I see a lot of people worried about ChatGPT or Bard or things like that. They think that it is going to take the jobs away. But I have a different perspective, right? Because technology is always there to make you more productive. In fact, in our startup itself, there's a lot of kind of use cases that we have addressed using ChatGPT, right? Earlier, for us to create a proposal or create emails or some content, it used to take a lot of time. And for startups, we are very lean on resources, right? And we always want to have these growth hacks in place where we want to do more with this. And ChatGPT kind of enabled us to do more with this, right? So that and but then, if you might ask, it is going to take the job of content writers away. Not really, because it is going to make them more efficient. Earlier, they might be spending X amount of time, they'll be doing it in half the time or one quarter the time. So that's my take in terms of how technology is going to change and help us be more productive. And again, another perspective here is there is a human angle to it. For example, you ask ChatGPT or Bard a question. Let's say you want a certain code and you will ask that in Bard. But then, how do you know that the code it gave you is right? Right? You need to have the skill, you need to have the domain expertise to validate if the input that is coming from the system is valid. Right? So systems cannot, you know, because it is fed, it loads the data. Whatever data is fed into it, it just throws it back. Okay, and then you need someone who can validate it. Even that has been the even response that we see when it comes to Bard or ChatGPT. The response depends on the quality of the question that you ask. You need to understand what is the right question to ask. To summarize it, you need there are a lot of new avenues that will be opened up where new trainings would be coming into picture on in terms of how to use a system, right? For example, 5 years back, data analytics, right? So you see, you go to United States of America, everywhere you see there's someone people trained on data, right? So because there is an opportunity, and now you see all these guys at that time while we were laughing, telling that no, what for data analysts you need to be very strong in statistics and things like that. But these are the people who got placed in very big companies, and they're doing their job, right? It's all about kind of being flexible to adapt to new technology, embracing the technology, and making ourselves more productive in the process. So that's what the technology does, and I think that's your question in terms of 5 to 10 years. Yeah, 5 to 10 years, right? So if you look at the workforce can be in two categories: skilled and unskilled. In next 5 to 10 years, I think there is a lot of demand that will be going to come in the skilled workforce because of the advent of the newer technologies and things like that. But then when it comes to unskilled workforce, that's where probably there is a government. I see a need for a complaints to kick in. For example, your regular manpower who currently lay roads or clean roads or things like that. In this unskilled space, the demand is going to come down because of automation. But then there is a certain level of policy intervention that would be required to ensure that the economy is not impacted with a sudden change in terms of technology adoption. And coming to the skilled workforce, again, I see a lot of scope for uh, new companies, right? There is a saying from Gartner about like 60% of the Fortune 500 companies are no longer going to be Fortune 500 companies, right, if they don't go into the digitalization phase. So with that, you might see a lot of like Ravi Garu was mentioning, right? Uh, there is always resistance for change. Okay, it's natural. Even us, we always try to be in our comfort zone. But then when comfort zone, that's when you see success or growth initiatives. Similarly, whenever a new technology comes up, also there is a certain resistance, and it is natural for us to have that resistance and cross it eventually. Um, Next 5 to 10 years, in my view, there is a lot of legacy, particularly in the Indian context. If you see, um, there are a lot of legacy machines. You take our agricultural equipment, you take even the equipment that we use for manufacturing, defense. You have a lot of infrastructure which is not connected. I see a lot of scope for digitalization where you can use our resources effectively, where you can extract more out of less. So that is one area that I think. And also, I see an opportunity where there will be new companies coming up, leveraging the latest technologies that are going to come. Okay, maybe the world regular. See, for example, I'll tell you, IBM is there. IBM introduced the mainframes, right? But even today, IBM uses mainframes, and there is a huge business unit which still works on maintenance of the mainframes. It doesn't mean that the legacy is going out, but then there is a transition from legacy to the newer technologies. There is a transition, and to enable this transition, there is an opportunity for a lot of companies to actually come and fill this gap. Wherein you can convert a legacy machine into a digital machine, where you can give it intelligence to think and tell, what is the state of it, what is the kind of performance that is still left, right? Just like a car, you give it for service for 10,000 kilometers, regardless of whether or not you have to, uh, even if it has a capacity to go for another 3,000 kilometers, because there is no way you can read the data from the engine. But imagine you have the data. Probably you will go for just-in-time maintenance, where at 13,000 kilometers you give for your car for servicing. And this is going to have multiple impacts. One is the carbon footprint. You are using less resources. You are making, extracting more out of less. So this is where I see a lot of opportunities with the new technology coming in. Rather than I don't see it as a threat. It's good for all of us here, all young guys, because we can actually build solutions to address that gap. That's what I think.
Thanks, Rajneesh. I think I'll give it to Ravi Tej. Ravi Tej is a CTO at a company called Bike and Bike Beam, sorry. Bike Beam, which is raised equity, had been funded, right? And then they're doing great stuff. They got started NASCOM here in the campus, and then they grew to doing great stuff. Your perspective is the same thing.
So I think like I more or less agree with Rajneesh. Definitely, like the technology transitions, right? Like just like your phones or cars or equipment, like there will be evolutionary changes and there will be evolutionary changes that usually happens around like 5 years or probably years. Uh, I think like just like internet has enabled a lot of new companies and a lot of technology transitions. AI has enabled like that new revolutionary phase where there'll be a lot of company transitions. The way I see it is just like your news became internet news, like your cars became connected cars, your probably like it's still internet transition, right? Uh, what I would suggest everyone is like there's definitely going to be a transition and be whoever is relevant in that case will find good opportunities in the next decade.
Thanks, Ravi. Now I have my good old friend, knew him for more than 5 or 6 years. Went there to probably invest in their company. They run a very wonderful high-tech, deep tech company called Target Technologies. This is a CTO there. They're into modeling a lot of high-value, capital-intensive equipment, coming up with artificial intelligence, AI, deep learning models to predict failures. Like you're talking about oil and gas, shipping, and railways. They work with all the big money makers and huge investors and maintaining and trying to, like for example, in a ship, if there is a crack that is coming in the hull, they see the crack how it is propagating and when is it likely to fail, and then they predict and tell you when it is likely to fail, so that there is no much of downtime because the ship not being operational for a day itself means runs into thousands and lakhs of dollars of loss. So there are people who work with those very high-end, high what do you call it, high cost equipment, and then they tell you because again when it comes to your spare parts, how much of spare parts for a large equipment that you have, huge turbines and other stuff that you have to keep at what time point of time. So just in time sourcing and other things is what they help. A lot of decision making stuff. So I would again pass it on to my friend Giri, Dr. Giri, who is also now will be teaching at Andhra University as a professor on practice. Okay, your perspective.
Yeah, first I will start about the adoption of the technology. As you said, like technology is continuous change, we should adopt, and who is going to adopt? They are going to be the leaders in the world. If you see this IoT, like this is a fourth of this industrial revolution. So who is going to take this lead? They are going to lead the entire world. Unfortunately, India, I mean, positioned well, but still we are far behind China. I think this is a great opportunity to move in that direction. Because what I see that like how quickly we adopt because there's no way we can move away from that. How quickly we can adopt like that's the benefit we will get as a independent entrepreneurs, or it can be a complete country itself. That's the first part. And the second thing, how I see this automation, if you see that like just a small example I want to give. I'm a strong believer that AI will design this building after 10, 15 years. So that means the civil engineer's perspective need to change from the traditional engineering to the AI-based design. I'm not talking about only condition monitoring and predictive analytics and all. What we talk about IoT-based information, which is used for health condition assessment and condition monitoring. And you mentioned about the predictive analytics, when the car is going to fail, then you need to take it to the maintenance based on that. But the AI itself is going to design. That's I'm a great believer. So that indicates that like now the engineers need to change from the traditional approach and they need to adopt AI-based approach also. But one more point here, actually, everyone talks AI, but still, again, on the other side, I say that AI role is about 5 to 10%. Remaining 90 to 90% come from the context, which is nothing but the domain. Even if you take a manufacturing industry, you take a shipping industry, you take even supply logistics finance, the major portion of contribution is actually from the domain, but this they create the use cases based on the requirement. It's a wonderful mathematical tool, which is which we, I mean, when it was not there, we are still able to manage, but by having this, we can manage much better way. Either to reduce what we call the labor cost, or reduce maybe the or you increase the throughput when it comes to the production. Whatever the different benefits we can achieve by doing this. But again, this is very important for a lot of engineers. I say that like whichever the domain they need to engineers or other science background or maybe even finance background, you need to still focus that because you are the one going to be part of the subject matter expert when you are going to solve the problem. And the second aspect, third aspect, when I talk about the skill, okay. So that means we need to change the skill itself. It's if you see that just a couple of them said about like the job of year, or maybe I'm not getting the relevant job. But if you see, there are a lot of requirements in the industry. But what I see that like there is a huge gap in the skill itself. I mean, as you mentioned that I was a CTO at that time. I also got a couple of naval architects, marine engineers approached me, but there's a huge gap. It's very difficult for them to take it in the into the industry. So that is the way even academy also has a big role. One of them, if you see the government of India also taken a great initiation on a professor of practice, which doesn't require even a PhD in principle. Someone have an experience of 13, 15 years, they can be a professor in any institute. In fact, I think government is trying to make a mandatory for every institute to have certain percentage of professor of practice. Because there is a big difference between academia and also when you go to the industry. Again, if you ask me, a smart person who come from even IITs also, I would say maximum 5 to 10% they are ready for the industry. And that might help them to propel much faster. But if you see the knowledge what we gain from academia is maximum 5 to 10% only can be used. So there is a big gap into that, and that's where I would encourage youngsters to understand about present practices and softwares, which is very important if you want to sustain in this industry now. And the third aspect also of next one, now the thought process of young people has to change. You need to have a continuous learning. You should also know how to brand and even market yourself. I don't want to use market, but you have to brand yourself, or you have to put forward to the industry. You may be very good in the particular subject, but if you're not able to present, then probably you don't get a relevant job what you're expecting to do. That's the another important point I want to bring it to that. And to some extent, I would also encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to come because it's very important. I know a lot of niche areas are there, a lot of which even the well-established companies may not able to do that because they overhead costs are very high and they have a long process which delays the product to come, even though they have a lot of experience, knowledge gained from the past experiences. Because it's a fat industry, it takes a lot of time to adopt and put the process into that. So there are so many areas. There's a lot of scope for entrepreneurs. But one thing I want to bring when you talk about AI and automation, novelty also brings its own risk. That can be a safety issue, or security issue, or risk issue. So that's very important because if you see that like we are all just relying on the power, just now there's no power, what we are going to do? Or assume that the complete internet will break down, what we are going to do? There are two ways to look into that. One, of course, we should know how to handle it. But the second thing, how do you prevent that will not happen? Risk mitigation. So that's very important when you are developing a technology. So if you see this autonomous cars, I would still say we are still too far away to use it in somewhere in Indian context. Or if you go to some of the fashion street in Mumbai and all, I don't know how it works. Yeah, so it's a huge gap into that. So because it brings its own risk in these scenarios. Yeah, so these are a lot of things need to be considered when you develop this type of products, and also students also need to have in addition to the particular subject, some extra skills is required, particularly if they want to be entrepreneur industry, because time is also money, and also to what to give in a short duration of time, what to bring the best to the, I would call it like minimum viable product, in a product always. How do you bring something makes sense in a very short duration of time? Because those days is gone, going with the PowerPoint presentation, getting your projects. If you see, no industry undertakes that now. They just ask like, can you show me a small, at least something you are in that area, then I can rely and fund you more. So because a lot of information is available and a lot of what do you call it? Programs are available. So that means they expect like you should be aware and bring some level of progress in that. Then they can rely more into that. So even the business itself, the thought process changed. That means, so I would like to say those days is gone. Like going for PowerPoints and getting the projects. If you see business thought process, business approach is changed. What do you call the skills requirement is changed, and and particularly if you talk about sensors, I think Madam is from sensors. What I feel like I believe more on a smart sensors, not only smart. I mean like because if you talk about something like you mentioned about chip, I can't process thousands of sensors information on board because weight is a constraint for me. That means there are other constraints, functional constraints or requirements coming into that. Can I actually make only the event information which should be passed to the my next level from the sensor itself? So I would think in that way. That means it processes everything. When it sees that the abnormal event itself, it is processed to the next level. Otherwise, it can discard or it can pass. If you want, you can keep it. That's a different aspect. So even not only the development size, I mean the size and also the performance and the battery life, even the functionality of the sensor is also going to change. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, thanks. That was long. I think covered most of the things, but I go one after the other. I think we started with technology and where it's likely to go in the next like 10 years. The second aspect I want to bring in is like I remember when I was in manufacturing before I moved to IT. We did a complaint saying that IT guys have a fun time. They have flexible working hours. So I went to our head. Yeah, this is tedious. And then we complained saying that we don't have flexible hours. We have shift times. I have to clock in at this time and I have to clock out at that time. So maybe that's a boon. Now I feel bad because now we are 24/7, always available sort of a work culture. So that's boon because manufacturing. But we went and said we wanted because the grass is always greener on the other side. So we said we want flexible hours. So answer was, who said you don't have flexible hours? You can come anytime before 8 o'clock and you can go anytime after 6 o'clock. So as long as you're there during your shift, so it's flexible. So that's one. And two is we know what happened during COVID, work from home and other stuff. So just wanted to know the perspective from the panelists as to how this work culture is likely to change with the newer technologies coming in, maybe holograms and other things coming, and you can reproduce the same scenario in a digital twin in one place. And then say, if I'm talking to a person, I think in 2 to 3 years, you'll find when you're talking to a person, the person's hologram is right in front of you. So with all these things coming in, where do you see this work uh, work culture or the future of work going? What is that this thing? I would begin start with.
Yeah. Sure. So actually, a lot of companies have already started it. Like I was telling before, it's all about productivity. If there is a resource, if you can optimally utilize it and you can extract the best out of it, then your objective is achieved. So we have been working with this MNC has got about 1,500 offices across the globe, and their problem statement is pretty straightforward. How can I make my employee more productive? How can I ensure that they're not wasting their time on unproductive things like telling the way to how to reach office to a guest, or waiting in the cafeteria, or just seeing that the board outside restroom that is under maintenance and anything, right? So there are a lot of things like this which doesn't really make sense and it is highly unproductive for a company, right? Where you'll be paying money in dollars, right? Uh, so that's one thing. And second thing that we've seen is employee happiness index. Earlier, no one used to care about how employees feeling, because at that time it used to work. It was more of a hierarchical organization structure we used to have. But now things have changed, right? Work is more social now. If you look at it in a typical corporate world, like say 5 years back, the team structure used to be 20-80. 20 people work really smart. They run the entire 100% of the team. 80% are there just for the billing purpose to get the billing from the client. But now these 20% should increase, right? We need to upskill ourselves. And these 20% will not only work for a single company, they'll definitely work for multiple companies. And work is definitely going to be social, right? So that is the trend. Because the demand is more, right? You need people who are capable, who have the domain expertise, who have the right technical expertise. And there is IT. The technical expertise that you need to do a certain job might not be there on the day one, right? And that's exactly the problem. So you need to lean on people who have got that expertise, who can help you with getting the solution, right? So yeah, so that's my take on it. The work is going to be more social, and again coming back to technology, right? So the client that we are working with, we are working on a use case where we can find the nearest meeting room for them, so that they need not search for a meeting room. We are tracking the oxygen, noise levels, and temperature in a room, so that the employee feels very comfortable, and they can set the room to their preferred temperature. Because I might be comfortable with 24, you might be with 20, and things like that. So they can set their preferences, and automatically when they go into a certain zone, the temperature would change accordingly, so that it is very welcoming and productive for a particular employee, right? Similarly, this case with cafeterias. You might, on your desktop, you will see that, okay, your cafeteria is like 100% full. So you need not really go there and wait. Rather, you spend your time effectively. And when you see that there is it's getting, like, you have some slots, then you can go, right? Same with restrooms. Earlier, what happens is, you might see a board that it is under maintenance, or there will be a lot of fake bills telling that the utility, we're spending a lot on utility for maintenance of restrooms. But now we have a metric which will say, okay, after a certain amount of people use it, it has to create a dynamic cleaning schedule. Okay, so it will automatically notify the people who are supposed to clean, how much time they have spent to basically clean. So every metric is gathered, and that's so fundamentally, if you look at it, again, it's all coming to boosting the employee productivity by making sure they're happy and giving them the right set of tools to make them more productive. So this is what I think in terms of work. The work is definitely going to be social, and we see a lot of productivity tools that are going to come towards us to make us more efficient and more productive.
So, Rajneesh, I think coming in, we'll quickly move on to skills, innovation, and creativity, because one is today we're moving from a trend of where uh, you're expecting some company to come and pick you up and becoming employable. That's one part of it. But two is there's also a lot of push of students turning into entrepreneurs and then being innovative, creative, and creating something of their own, and then building. Because we've seen that happening in the university itself. A lot of people getting funded even for their startups and other stuff. So that's one, and two is to be ready for the future. What sort of a skill set? Because today I see there could be student people from science background, management background. I can see a lot of things that are happening. Technology being impacting every other place. Now, if you're somebody who's sitting and doing a lot of data crunching, you are a pharmacy student and doing something like drug discovery, data crunching, clinical trials, all that what was taking 6 years has now come down to 3 years just because of AI. Now, if you're talking about management people and you're talking about finance, and there is AI and NLP which will run through if you're trying to look into a lot of documentation and try to find financial viability of a company or a person, it is doing it for you within seconds and giving you the data. So being in the forefront of it's like what Giri was talking. One is the subject matter expertise, which is knowing your subject. Of course, that's important, and then augmenting it with other skills that are future ready. So, your thoughts and how do the generation need to prepare for to be future ready, because technology is changing at so much of a pace that, and affords the third aspect is soon people who are elderly will start reporting to younger guys because they are adept to the newer technologies, and you'll have to start working with them or under them, reporting to them because they are super fast, super quick, and ready to adapt, and then moving and flexible and adapting to newer technologies, which keeps them in the forefront, and they becoming the leaders of tomorrow. So, just your perspective here. Start with.
So there are two things like when you talk about the technology adoption, if you see that just a small example, I want to say Indian Navy developed a material for a naval vessel. It took 20 years. Okay, but by using AI, duration can go up to 2 years. So that means you need to, suppose if you take methodology as an engineering background, they need to understand about not only methodological side and how this complete problem can be brought into 2 years. That's a quite significant gain. And on the other side, one more example I want to give, we talk about some type of work from home and remote, work from home and all these type of things. If you see, some of the assets are quite remote in the location. Now, digital twin just got it. I mean, the digital twin actually gives you the complete feel of the asset, behavior perspective and also visually also. I mean, even twin can be even visual representation also. How exactly the asset is behaving. And further, if you see the cyber physics, like no, or even if you physically control from your room, I mean, whatever, suppose you want to change the wall there, I mean, you can physically do it from your location, and somewhere the remote asset can be controlled. So if you see that the work style itself changes, that means we need to again to be adapted to the technology. If we don't, means that I can certainly guarantee that those industries not going to withstand, like as you mentioned, for 15, 500 companies or even in manufacturing companies, if they don't use this technology, probably they may not go to sustain. Someone will take over from them. On the other side, only one thing a little worries me because of course that's where maybe psychologically also we need to study more. Remote work is great, but at the same time, human also need an interactions with others. One professional interaction and the professional rapport, and the second thing, how do we trying to avoid the our stress by being working from home or remote. So that one aspect probably we need to study more because I can't comment at this point of time how much it is going to affect psychologically after 10 years because it's just too early to judge at this point of time. But I feel that type of study also required. Otherwise, it can probably hamper the, it can create unnecessary other stresses. Actually.
Thanks. I think I'll give to Ravi Teja for regarding the skill, and we have this big gap. We see that every day, right? You should be facing that at Bhakti, where there's so much of quantity of students available to pick up from, but the people meeting your expectations are very few. So there are job and opportunities out there, but there are not enough people to meet that thing. There's so many people out there looking for a job, but they're not meeting the thing. Do you see that, and how do you think people should prepare for that sort of skill gap and get themselves ready?
Yeah, so I had like almost like 1 year of interviewing skills, like I interviewed 1 year for 15 to 20 years. So yeah. So what I will tell you, they're very smart, right? But it's about relevance, right? What I need and what they bring to the table. Usually bigger companies, they tend to go for generics, right? Like they try to hire people like who are good, smart, that's where it's all going to use like or probably all these tests, right? Like Porsche, all those companies. Whereas startups like they look for specialists, right? Like they don't want or at least like if they're specialists, they can write and contribute from and contribute. So as a startup, my job is to hire those specialists, right? Like who are already good at what we are looking for. So what I think, so there is a disconnect, right? Like with what like college speech and also technology moving like so fast, and we being a startup itself means like we are picking up something which might be very new, which is not like people are trained for. I think people, so there is a lot of campus placement thing going on, but what I would suggest students who are looking for jobs is to pick up like 10 to 20 companies that you want to work at, like be a bit flexible in what exactly you want to do and approach them directly, right? And what I would advise startups is like make their curriculum open, right? Like make their technology stack open, make their skill set they're looking for open, make their probably interview questions open, so that like students and colleges can collaborate, like and see which category of students like might fit into which set of stuff that prepare specifically for them, right? I think it's a win for everyone. That's what I would.
Thanks, Teja. But skilling and now I would want to perspective on innovation and creativity, which is going to be the forefront of Startup India, Digital India, or even you're talking about the way in which people are encouraged. I think more and more, one we already know that 80% of employment comes from MSME. It's not the large companies. I know there's a dream companies, but in the future, these dream companies are going to be these startups. Infosys, like recently when Narayan Murthy was in the campus, when he was saying how do you select your startups? How do you judge them? I said, I don't judge them. I just get them in because Google has 17 times of failure before the right person invested in them. It was the right maybe investment. It's so, and startups start experimenting, pivoting, and they try new things. And I said, when you today everybody talks to you, Mr. Narayan, but when you started in a garage, you're a startup, and that's when will people sign up for you. But today that's become the fact. At that point of time, there was a lot of resistance, especially from parents and others to join a startup. But that trend is changing now. I think there's a lot of search for startup founders and other things. So, how do you see this trend of people moving from a basic uh, mindset or a normal model of or a specific mode of only being concentrating going towards these big companies and campus recruitment towards wanting to work with startups, being innovative, being creative, entrepreneurs and all that. So where is this trend going? Okay, I would want a quick uh, saying perspective from the three of you.
Okay. Yeah, if I see this, first of all, like, no, I'm very happy a lot of young generation ready to take the risk. Because risk taking behavior is first very important. And the second thing, try to do some type of what you call that quantified risk, what type of risk you are trying to take. And the second thing, find if possible, find a mentor who can guide you. Either it can be job perspective, even entrepreneurial perspective. That's very important. And also have the clarity that there are two. I mean, it can be different perspectives. Whether you want to be aggressive or you want to be conservative when it comes to the entrepreneurship innovation, take it forward. Or the other one, like if you see this, like if you see this Mac, I mean, like Apple, when they come, everything will be silos until they come out. Because they're very clear that they have strategic competitive advantage because they come to industry. There's no player is going to come. That's one type of business approach. Or the second one, like you go in like lean type of approach, like you go with some basic level development and move forward with the industry and fine tune and evaluate over the period and achieve it. Because this is very important to know where your idea stands and how you want to take it forward. Because if you talk about the second approach, you have a continuous learning, but your thought process also may be refined in a continuous phase. That means you will be never far away to the industry what they think. Otherwise, I have seen a lot of startups. Just an example, out of 100, maybe three startups sustain more than 3 years or 9 years, 3 years. Because what we think is a technical ambition, what we develop, which may be far away to the reality, what the customer is really looking for it. So that means if you develop in a silos, that means finally you may be far away to the reality, then you will come up with a significant amount of time and financial loss. So that try to be avoided. That's the reason I said try to find some mentors or advisors who can help you. Finally, it's your call, but at least like they can put forward their experience, how things are moving forward.
Yeah, so I think innovation is not new, right? Even now we talk about 15-minute delivery and all, but you typically look at India in states they used to get all the vegetables and all right to your doorstep, right? We have a lot of innovators and CEOs, just that we do not have a proper approach towards it. When it comes to starting up, there's any time is a good time to start a company. But then particularly when you're students, you have a better advantage. The reason is one, there is nothing for you to lose. You can start. I go to a lot of colleges and when I look for interns, right? They already start their freelancing or working with some industry right from the second year. I work with NUS Singapore also, the interns from NUS Singapore, and the quality that you get from someone who is undergraduate there would be equal to like 5 to 6 years experienced guy because he has already done some 5 to 6 projects in a freelancing mode. So my first advice is don't worry about your current situation. Go ahead, get engaged with industries, talk to people, get some work. Don't focus too much on money, what work you get. Focus on the quality of learning. And two, on the innovation front, again, think different, right? There are multiple ways of getting from point A to point B. But how you make it easier for your customer from getting from point A to point B. So that's where your innovation should be there. And for that perspective, for any idea that you're working on, I would always suggest you talk to your end customers and you live with the problem. You don't assume something. You don't go with something just based on uh, what someone else is saying or some analyst is saying. You leave to the problem. You talk to your customer. You fine tune your problem and come up with a solution. And in the solution also go for rapid prototyping, wherein you can fail early. Okay, you build a prototype, you see how it is going, you let it fail early. You look at Apple. Apple has got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatnot, right? There's nothing like a best product. So you go out there, but whenever you're going out there, you please ensure that there is innovation in the product, because innovation and also because that will simplify the life for people. So
think startups, people going for startups more than the traditional mindset
yeah,
of going with big
yeah,
companies.
and the third thing I'll tell you is the traditional mindset is that okay. Earlier, when I started my career back in 2004. So at that time, it's all about like getting into big companies like Microsoft, or getting into some services company. Be very focused on a single domain, whatever you're exposed to. But then now in a startup, but when you look at a bigger company, right, your focus area is very restricted. You can't get a chance to explore diverse areas. But when you go to a startup, you get to experience many things. The avenues are always open. You can work on any the length and breadth of technology. You can get a chance to work, right? So I think in fact I'm seeing a significant trend also where students are opting for startups initially so that they can get a chance to learn beyond what is possible in a typical services company. And also you look at the entry packages. Probably you get about 3.5 to 8 lakhs package as a fresher, right? But then if you go to a startup, probably starting a third year or something, by the time you come to your fourth year and have an offer in hand, you already have some technology expertise, and even the startups can pay you well. I've seen a lot of success stories where they get at par with any big company. So my suggestion is you start early. You definitely, I think you should look at starting something on your own using the fail early and innovative approach that I've told before. Or if you want to test the waters, you join a startup, see how things work, how products are built, how marketing happens, how they build the customer base, so that you are. I know someone was mentioning about taking a calculated risk, right? So you can take the calculated risk before even you start something on your own.
Yeah, so I used to work at Intel and then chose a startup later because I found like Intel moves too slow for what I want to do. And then I started up myself at like so I feel like a little relatable to that question. But I think if you speak about risk, I think today's startups are not any more risky than like big companies in terms of job work, right? Like if you are looking for a job, and if you look at any decent funded startup, I think you would get like almost similar risk capital. You won't be you won't lose your job. But like I think the problem might be you might be thinking that they might die, and like these companies might survive. But I think given the capital situation and the market, I think companies will sustain longer going forward, and you would typically learn 10x of what you would in a big MNC. So you would easily find a job, right? Like it's not that risky in my opinion.
So, would like to sort of summarize as to here before we move on to the next event. So, I think we started with where is technology moving next 5, 10 years. We definitely agree that technology is going to impact our lives. It's going to impact our what we do, and it's going to be faster now. And what we see in the sci-fi movies are going to happen in reality more and more. So that's one thing that I think we have established here, saying that yes, technology is going to be a part of your life. It is going to impact you, and then you better be prepared rather than trying to resist it. So acceptability towards it is it is because it leads to productivity, convenience, a lot of things that are associated with it, and everybody would move, and you have to move with the trend. So when we moved into the next topic, which is basically we're talking about work and how is work going to, because we talk about freelancing, we talk about work from home and this stuff. So that is also established, like companies would be more and more progressive and looking towards what makes the employees more comfortable employees, more delighted, happy employees, so that retention levels are high, and they will do hybrid models, pure work from home models. There could be a lot of models that they will be working on, and welcome, sir. Just finishing the panel discussion, and we'll move on to the next. So, yeah, just he's on the way. He's just 2 minutes. Oh, he just reached. So so that now the second part of it. So work is going to be, it is going to fill in your life. It's very important that how you balance your work lifestyle, because when I started and today I don't have a boundary between what is life, what is work, and what's home. My work is very much at home, and I am trying to balance between these two. And I go, and there's a lot of issues at home too. When I'm talking about my work at home, and there's no Saturdays, there's no Sundays, there's no midnight. I work usually with US clients and other stuff. So this is going to be the way it is, and it's going to be the way forward. So it is very important for you to balance it and then handle it. So that's what I think the panel has come up with, saying that work is going to be all over you, and it's going to be happening. Companies will do what is best in for their employees and for them in the long run, and then you'll have to go with those trends, whether it's hybrid models, freelance models. Yeah, because when I was running a company, it was like 2,200 people. At least for 7 years, at least 70% of them I've never seen them. They were all spread all over the virtual workforce and other stuff. So that's going to be the trend. 3 years we went into skilling. We talked about skills, skill sets, and yes, again, it's again very emphatically the panel was talking about how you need to be prepared. Whatever you learn, if you go with your regular course curriculum, it's about 5 to 10% of preparedness for what the industry wants. Rest of it is, that's why they talk about generalists, because they're looking at your logical skills and other comprehending skills and other abilities, people management skills and other stuff. But if you want to be largely in line with what your employer is expecting from you, it is better. I think the suggestion was also do as much of internships and largely go and do it with startups, because you go to a large company. I know if I was with Tech Mahindra, I was there, and when the interns are asked to sit in, I really wouldn't use them much. Basically, they come, they sit, and then I give them a certificate. It happens if you go to any big public sector, it's the same thing. But if you go and work with a startup, they will make you sweat and toil and like crazy. You will feel why the hell is happening, whatever. But that is what adds to your resume. You're much more prepared when you go for your interviews or you start up on your own. It is a big learning experience to work with a startup, because you will not be a specialist, but you will also be made to do a lot of generalist sort of jobs. You'll be like, if you're a management guy, you'll be doing HR, you'll be doing finance, you'll be doing a little bit of operations, you'll be doing day-to-day delivery, end-to-end stuff. So because the startup founder is like that. He is the CEO to the Raju Retin. So everything is there. You will be following his footsteps, learning those stuff right from the horse's mouth, which is the CEO or the co-founders and CEOs doing everything themselves. Because you have to pick up the baton wherever it is left. So that's there. So that's the third skilling, and we're now talking about innovation, creativity, and future readiness. So we came into finally the fourth aspect, which I think the panel was talking about. Yes, innovation thing is going to be a part of life. It's going to be there. We're going to take it forward. So better look at that angle of creativity and innovation. Just completing. Welcome, sir. Uh, with that, thanks to the panelists. Thanks, Raviteja. Thanks, Rajneesh, and Dr. Didi. Thanks for your time. Thank you. It was great listening to you guys. Great perspective. All the best in your startups, and hope you guys do great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I hand it over back to you guys.
Thank you very much, dear gentlemen, for all those valuable insights you shared with us today.
As we digest all the ideas and thoughts from the panel, let us remind ourselves that we work in spaces, but we live in houses, neighborhoods, and cities, where our roads needs to be easy and safe to navigate. Our garbage needs to be picked up in the time and disposed safely. Our parks should be inviting and inclusive. Our workspaces should have all the necessary infrastructure for us to compete on a global stage. The ecosystem of our lives should have all the resources and amenities embedded in it for us to live, work, and play.
we have with us today the Commissioner of GBMC, our Urban Local Bodies Administrative Head. He is not a typical civil servant. Before he joined the civil services in 2017, he was at Microsoft, Amazon, and then with Google, steeped in the tech world. In other words, he graduated from IIT Madras with an integrated BTech and MTech in computer science and engineering. He brings his knowledge and experience in the tech world, the world of urban local bodies. Just the sound of it is exciting. Please welcome our chief guest today, Shri C.M. Saikanth Varma, IAS, Commissioner of the Greater Vizag Municipal Corporation.
Thank you so much. And first of all, good morning, Andy. Good morning. I'm just checking whether you're all attentive and listening or not. Jokes apart, I understand that you are all very smart people who have come together. So the reason why I've come here today is because the city right now is at a very critical stage. We have a lot of challenges that are coming up, and it's very important that all the startups that are going to come, the next generation, you need to be very sensitive to a lot of issues. Till so far, probably till the beginning of the 21st century, probably I can say this, the government was working separately with hardly any, coordination with the people directly. It was, the policies were being formulated in a unilateral way, in a top-down approach. It's only in the recent past that the government also started pushing for a lot of participatory governments and taking in feedback from the people directly. Because of various factors, the times have changed. These are all very testing times, very demanding times. The challenges that are being faced by generation, the previous generation are totally different as compared to the challenges that we are facing today. Climate change, for example, no other city probably experiences climate change the way we do. We have seen major cyclones hitting the city of late, in the recent past. The sea levels are rising, and no other city experiences it more than we do, because our shores are cutting away by the seas. The temperatures are rising, the frequency of heat waves are rising, and we are now being faced with a lot of new diseases that we have never seen before or heard of before. So this is a reality, and the solution to this cannot come from the government alone. The top-down approach is no longer relevant in these days. So it's very important that we involve the local people, we involve people from the academia, we bring in the expertise and the involvement of citizens, media, and various other stakeholders. Only then will we be able to survive and face the challenges that we are facing today. So it's very important that whatever startups that you're going to take up now, whatever great ideas that you people have, it's very important that you keep this in mind, that you need to be sensitive to the local needs. You might have a great idea to begin with, but the questions that you need to ask is that whether these ideas will help the people or the country in the long run. Are they sustainable? Sustainability is going to be a very important factor in no matter what all things you're going to do. Most important aspect, the technologies are emerging day by day. Every day you find a new technology. During my introduction, my friends here have spoken that, I'm basically from a computer science background. I graduated in 2011, so hardly 12 years since I've graduated. But the technologies that I was aware of, that I was so proficient with at that point of time, have become obsolete now. They're no longer relevant. technologies change every single day and they change very rapidly. So we need to be, as youth, you all need to be very, very, resilient in terms of accepting change. You cannot get stuck at one particular, uh, you know, uh, place and then expect that you can grow on one particular idea. Your idea needs to evolve. Your ideas needs to adapt and to the rising challenges and to the emerging needs. So what I'm trying to tell you is adaptability is a very, very important factor which you all need to factor in with whatever great ideas that you want to start. And the last and most important aspect, according to me, is you should start thinking in terms of, uh, you know, how do you scale a particular idea? Scalability is again one more very, very important factor because if you cannot scale, you cannot grow. I can think of so many corporate examples who have started off with a very great idea, but they could not develop or they could not emerge only because they couldn't scale up. The second point I was mentioning about is adaptability. I think just to give you a classic example, Nokia. Nokia was at one point of time a pioneer in mobile industry until the advent of smartphones. And these people have refused to adapt to the smartphones, thinking that we have the largest customer base. People are used to us, so they will not be able to, get used to a new gadget. So refusing to adopt, ignoring to scale up, and not being sensitive to the environment. See, what I'm trying to say here is sustainability, then uh, adaptability, and scalability. These, according to me, are three very, very important factors. These three parameters are not only relevant for private sector, but even for the government. In whatever ideas that we try to do, in whatever ideas that we try to implement, at least the present government is so much involving with the people that they are ensuring that these three factors are complied with. So, uh, and I really look forward to some of your ideas and see how best we can work together and some of the challenges that the city is facing. If this sort of the technological solutions that you people can come up with, and if you could partner and solve some of the problems, that will have a very deep impact on all the people, and it can solve uh, a lot of other problems which could otherwise emerge at a later point of time. So, what my request to all of you is, just be a responsible entrepreneur. I mean, with whatever ideas that you're going to start with, just keep these three parameters, 3 points in your mind, and then I think you know uh, I'm sure that we can all work together and make this a very, very this future and this country very proud, and uh, we can achieve great heights. So that's what I'm looking for, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to working with some of the great ideas that you people come up with. In case some of you have got any, uh, so I guess that's about it. And if you have any Q&A for me, I'll take it. Probably after that, I think we can conclude. Yeah.
That would be wonderful. You can engage in a conversation.
Yeah. Any Q&A if people want to ask, which you might want to ask. Yeah.
Vizag has been the most foremost city in new ideas and technologies. So any new projects are coming up in Vizag city, so entrepreneurs, emerging entrepreneurs can engage with the government and work along.
Absolutely. We have a
Um, yes, we have read in the newspaper that some lab is being set up for the city so that the environment can be monitored and all those things. Like those.
Yeah. See, there are two parts to your question. I think the first part is what are the new initiatives and new ideas that we're going to take up. So, like I said, we are now facing a lot of new challenges that we never faced before. So, some of the projects that we have in mind are, how can we make the beaches more accessible? So, there's a whole beachfront project that we are planning to take up. We need to strike a balance between, hitting the ecological balance on one side, and we also need to make our beaches more friendly and, tourist friendly, and add more features and add more facilities in the beaches for the public who are coming in. So, quite recently we have received the blue flag identification for one of our beaches, which is in Vishikonda. So it's a great, it's a great starting point, I'd say, because it teaches the way forward as to striking both an ecological balance, so that our coast, the entire coastline is very very sensitive. We have this olive ridley turtles and a lot of other uh, flora as well, which we need to protect and strike a balance on. So these are some of the, I mean, this is one particular aspect that we are looking at. And in addition to this, there are other projects that we are going to take up in terms of reducing the air pollution and improve the quality of air that is there. And we right now at this point of time we have a green cover of 35% within the GVMC limits, which is actually very good for a city. But however, given the industrial challenges that we have, it's very clear that 35% is not adequate. Now, what do we need to do to get to 50%? And at the same time, we cannot compromise on the development part. We cannot convert every piece of land that we have into a forest. That would be very unsustainable in terms of the growth. So that is one more problem that we're looking at. How can we, increase our green cover without actually hampering the growth factor of the city? And there are a couple of other projects like the sewerage management that we are looking at, and we have a lot of these nalas which are directly draining out into the open sea, basically all untreated water. So how can we take up small projects which we can install in a very short span of time, so that to ensure that at least the treated water out of the drains are released into the sea. So these are some of the projects that we are looking at. And the urban living lab, that's the lab that we was talking about. So that was done in collaboration with three international organizations. One is UN, the other is we have this urban NIUA in New Delhi, and then the TERI, New Delhi. So these three organizations have come forward. It's more of
It's not set up to do research, so
right.
it's not set up for data mining and data
Right.
collection. So do you have any partnership with Andhra University or any other university for doing that kind of
Absolutely. So all the projects that I've just mentioned, they are about collaborating and taking in the ideas. Even the urban living lab, which was just spoken of, the idea there is also the researchers and the academicians will study the city, will understand the problems that are being faced, and they are expected to put them in a perspective so that we got to implement these ideas and come up with the solutions going forward. And there are many such projects, like you have just said. There is a sustainable resilience unit within GVMC itself. And some of the outcomes of these units are, today we have about 20% of our energy consumption that the corporation does comes from clean energy. So we have taken up floating solar plants on our reservoirs, major water reservoirs, which are the main source of water, uh, Mursarlova and Megadrigata. So we have already, some 6 to 7 megawatt of floating solar plants, and we have plans to expand, add 10 more megawatt of floating solar plant on Megadrigata. So these are all some of the outcomes of such, brainchilds of these different organizations, and the academia coming together, studying the problems and trying to give the solutions so that we get to go ahead and implement them.
follow-up question? So if a student, because we are at our house and we have a lot of startups and many students come for opportunities, if a student or a department faculty member or a startup would like to engage with GVMC in any of these projects, is there a way to connect with GVMC?
Absolutely, we do have. So what I can do is we have one unit here, uh, which is the SRU unit that has just spoken of. So if anybody is interested, you guys have a great idea. And
Are there any use cases that startups can give them as a hackathon challenge and then come up with solutions?
as of now, we don't have any such ready set of problems or questions to begin with, but I'm pretty sure, most of the problems. See, one of the biggest challenges starts with identifying that there is a problem. Many of us, we get so used to with our normal routine life that we forget and we somehow don't have the knack to identify the problems to begin with. So pretty much most of, in my experience in the government so far, 80 or 50, 60% of the problem is solved the minute you identify that there is a problem. There is a structure to it. This is the problem, and this problem is causing, these issues, and it is that important to solve this particular problem. Getting this itself is a very, very big challenge. So, what I would rather urge you guys is if you can also identify some of the problems that you as a citizen of the city might be facing, then I think that's the right step to begin with. Yeah, absolutely. We are there on social media. That's the place to begin with. And like I said, we have this SRU unit, Sustainable Resilience Unit, within GVMC. That would be the start point.
Do you have any more of engaging students or citizens as volunteers with your SRT?
Uh, in SRU, as of now, no, but there are various other campaigns that we want all of you to participate in, like, for example, the plastic ban campaign that we're trying to do. You know, the cleanliness drive that we always have been pushing for. Promoting greenery within your living spaces is something, a campaign that we all look forward to. Uh, you know, Friday, Friday, keeping sure that there are no mosquito breeding grounds within the residence premises, especially water tanks. Many people tend to ignore this, but water tanks have been found to be a major contributor to the breeding grounds of mosquitoes. And a whole, we also have been doing this, Sagar Tira Swachhata, which is all about, being a responsible tourist whenever you visit one of the beaches. These are all the various campaigns that GVMC and the district administration have been trying to do, where we want to engage people directly. But SRU, like I said, it's a very, very specific unit. It is meant for a specific purpose. It's not meant for everybody to come and contribute. It's only for those specific experts to come collaborate and then work together. Like I said, if any academy or the students are specifically interested in some of these sort of a problems, they can get in touch with the SRU unit to begin with. Okay. I guess that's all. Thank you so much. I feel very honored and so happy to see all bright minds coming together. And I hope these sort of symposiums should happen more often in the city. And I'm really looking forward to having great collaboration with the youth and some of the bright minds like you going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very Thank you very much, sir, for your comprehensive presentation, and we greatly appreciate your insights. You are the first commissioner to spend so much of insights as well as time with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, as a policy, a plan taking bouquets. Thank you. Great, great. Very dynamic.
Thank you so much. So this is a break time and we come back. Yeah, break.
in a discussion of all the key ideas we gathered from the panel and especially invitees today.
Yeah. Thank you to be a part of some of your groups so that you can engage with them during those group discussions. Okay. I'm going to split everybody into groups. So what we are going to do is I'm going to split all of you into groups and I'm going to give you some topics to discuss related to what you heard from the panel and what you heard from the commissioner. And I would like you to discuss those topics and come out with some ideas, solutions, thoughts related to that. So what we're going to process that we're going to follow. One, I'll figure out a way to split you into groups. Second, I'll give you the topics for each group. I would like each group to go into one corner wherever you decide, or you can step outside. And one will and you never give up your It is 12:17 on my watch. By 12, because I've already given you time, you need to conclude. Yeah, some kind of ideas that you can tell us and say, these are our thoughts on this. And then number 4 will come. One of you should be taking notes because you need to be presenting in front of the crowd the outcome of your discussion. If anybody doesn't like your topic and would like to change the topic, let me know. Go ahead, sorry.
As an engineer team. Right. Engineer team. You have 5 more minutes. You have 5 more minutes. And groups will put a right?
But then he did mention that, we split a clause here. Only if there is talking about certain things that only you should get in touch.
At this point of time, I would like you to nominate one person from your team who's going to come and speak and summarize whatever you discussed. All right. So, kind of what I'd like you to do now is, because I don't want you to continue the conversation, I don't want anybody who's in any team to be next to sit. Do not sit next to your teammates. Go back to wherever you're sitting, so that you're not next to your teammates. That way you're not going to disturb. Do not sit where you. Thank you, everyone. Who wants to go first? Okay. I have another copy for you if you want. It's the actual topic. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you did all of that for me to collect this slip. I thought you were going to come and speak. Team number 2. Okay. By coincidence, that's the number that you mentioned. Please introduce yourself and then
So, my name is Prof. I'm from my computer science computer science from Andhra University. I'm also internal for this. Here. So, we have the question number 2, like promoting life learning with can exploration activities to encourage individuals and organizations to embrace lifelong learning and reach to the changing demands of the workplace. They can discover potential community platforms for partnership and participate ongoing skill development. So, our issue was mainly focused on how we can promote lifelong learning. They are like we all when we stop learning new things, we are static. Like we stop, then we cannot explore anything new. How can we convince people to get out of their comfort? For example, if I learn computer science today, I will graduate in 2025, right? So if that is sufficient for me, right? For example, Commissioner was there and he told us like he graduated in 2011. So that was not 2011 he graduated from computer science. And, that is not practiced today, right? That is outdated. We have to promote. Like, we have to make people convince that we have to keep on learning new things, right? Why we have learning? Because there is technology or things like that. So until they keep on learning outdated. Second, they need to learn can be a very good at the same time we have to explore other things as well, right? So for that we have to learn new things and others like others can like there are always new technology coming. For example, before 2008 or sometime there was no internet, so people have to learn to use internet to come using. Then now there is coming AI. Yes, we have to make some AI to make anything happen, right? So in that way, all these things to persist with the time, we have to learn new things. So these are the potential initiatives of why people should learn new things. Like, and what are the platforms they said? There are a lot of platforms, right? Online platforms, maybe offline platforms. So there are a lot of online platforms like daily upskill, and there are a lot more like LinkedIn also providing like new skills. And then there is like university also like training programs, government organizations also provide training programs to upskill with new things. Like startups these days are thousands quality or companies like Google and other companies are also providing like training people. And there will be more on like we get to know our new things on newspaper, right? On the daily basis of other social medias or portal sites, all the new things coming up, and these can be some sites to know about the new things. The title comes from community. So then how can we partnership? Okay, how can we partnership? So these are the good partnership together, right? This is the best example how we can partnership with a lot of things. Today we have partnership with universities, startup and government. Like government also it is also here. So in this way we can have like partnership and we can provide certifications also for the thing to make life problems. We can also do other things like some of the ways to do this in seminars, webinars, online, offline trainings, road shows, marathons, and other awareness programs. So these were some of the outcomes of our discussion, and everyone helped us a lot. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give him a bigger round of applause. He's the first one who volunteered, and it's always difficult to be the first one who speaks. I am going to do a 2 minute time limit for everybody else because we now have an advantage of understanding what we need to mention. So, who wants to go next? Next. Team number 4. Team number 4 has been given supporting Andhra University. Upskilling and reskilling the existing workforce. Group can discuss approaches to facilitate upskilling and reskilling of workers in industries affected by automation and technological advancement. They can explore the role of bodies, collaborating employers, training providers, and government agencies to provide accessible and relevant training programs.
I'm a current student. The topic is upskilling, reskilling of workforce in local called boys. Come to the basic point of upskilling and reskilling of a workforce in the local government. That is, we have to identify their problems and their needs. Based upon that, we have to plan for them. Mainly, we have a plan a memorandum of understanding with governments, that is like by universities, government education systems. We have to give it. That is training programs for the employees within there. Secondly, we have to use the technology. That is, we have to give more presentation for the more employees with one guy by using the technology. By using that is cameras, videos, that is seminars, and that is transferring the information with a large scope, nice scope. And third one, who having a lack of something. Someone is graded 1 point, someone is a lack of 1 point. He is a master only 1 point. So we have to be identified who is a lack of 1 point. We have to, that is a teamwork. We have to promote the teamwork. We have to promote the teamwork. We have to get better results. We know that is a teamwork is a better team management. The team management is a better thing. I understand that is it is more efficient to work with. One thing we have to do that is we have to create a, that is a government organization with a family. Such is coming with a not coming with one person. It's coming with a collective work. We have to give that information we have to motivate them timely data. We have to improve also our their communication skills and their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Next team, volunteers. Without
Hi, this is Krishna. Three. So, the problem was we defined traditional work models. We asked to perform based on ideas how traditional models can reimagine corporate flexibility, remote work, gig economy, and collaborative platforms. We are supposed to discuss potential benefits, challenges, and essential if they are inclusive work environment. So basically, we asked to redefine traditional working practices like consider our regular government posture kind of thing. Currently, we have here. Like if you see all the regular things, we our group was not able to understand the problem much clear. It took us some time. So what we did was actually pick up one single digital store and digital company which is currently having a store in Visakhapatnam. So we were trying to understand its business practices. So currently, I mean, they have a set of customers who are mainly traditional and very low to the specific purchasing and saving. That's what they're doing. To traditional work practices so that they can increase their sales because currently they themselves are doing your 3 to 5 prevent per year. So what we thought of the things because these guys are not using it platforms like Google My Business or any other Google platforms. So we are saying why don't they get listed on this platform here? So what happens? Why don't they list on this platform? But what happens is most of these companies, generally they are mostly run by single owner. They hardly any stuff, even if they have stuff, it's mostly like used for managing the so so some of the thing that incorporate something like digital multiplexes, or I don't use WhatsApp, some other tools which are already really available in the market. So that's we also got the collaborative platform where they can actually install some so our group was supposed to discuss and broaden essential skills which was highlighted during the panel discussion such as critical thinking, creativity, adaptability, and digital literacy. And then we have to explore how these skills can be developed and integrated into education programs. So as per our discussion, we identified that the major problem with today's youth is TiE. So basically, they are using the technology, but they are putting in the garbage and they are getting garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. So there, there needs to be adherence to the basic subject matter expertise. That is very essential thing. There should be subject matter expertise. Apart from this, there should be digital literacy and creativity. Suppose we want to give an input to ChatGPT, it will give us output based on our input. So our input needs to be creative as well as subject specific. Then only it will cater to better solution for that context. And
how we can implement such skills and skills into today's youth based on it can be done in a two ways. So first is like whatever learning starts traditionally, whatever skills we start learning, it is from the graduation, and from the discussion we know only 10% of it is useful at the industry level. So whatever is done, it should be uh, learning has to be started from the more early times, like after class 10 and all. This would be imparted skills which are very relevant to the industry, and academia and industry needs to come closer. So like uh, more emphasis should be given on the hands-on learning rather than the theoretical learning. And when this theoretical uh, hands-on learning are imparted in the academia, after that the students should be given opportunity to work instantly to apply those learnings on the actual industry problems. So this only can be possible when academia and industry come closer to work together. My name is Saikanth. Represent the group. Our topic is digital infrastructure, organizing data infrastructure, connectivity, plus what are the initiatives we can take. So as per our discussion, we initially identified that smart city rankings, but plans are yet to be to implement better data infrastructure. First, we need to have efficient ones. So government has given, but we need a point of contact for the open data. How it's investing in the city. That we have to know. That's the first thing. Second, data connectivity. So every city has to be data connectivity to be a smart city. So for data connectivity, every home has to be a fiber optics connectivity. So many times other companies were like building repeatedly to build the infrastructure. So one has to like the government take an initiative, the body has to take an initiative to build a common lane or cable that can be shared among the companies or give the policies. So this can reduce the repeated construction of this fiber optics and reduce the costs also. And third one is data center. So it has to make a data center and data has to be shipped so that they should have an efficient portal that has to be accessed by everyone and easy to access. And third one is to understand, like to build a better smart city, any feedback from the people also. Now, because it is industrial environment, everyone has to know it is the government who are planning to do all these things. They have to get better ticketing system, and they maintain a website, and the ticketing system should be there like within this SLE or within the time limit. They have to get the response. So if they get that, the more in and out things happen, and they can build better digital things. That's the actual plan of digitalizing the city. So they have more and more data, and they can work on building a better city. That's it.
Like we had a lot of input. Thank you so much for all your work. I captured most of what you had mentioned. Is there anything else that you think of based on what you heard from others, either on your own topic that you'd like to add something more, or something that you would like to add to what some of the team has come up with?
Yeah. So most of the cities are implementing same things again and again, I believe. So we can, like, and in the open source world, we can have something like open city OS. So that, because if you want to implement a citizen feedback system, so we don't want Vizag to be implementing their own people system, Gujarat to implement their own people system. If there is an open city or something like that, it will be easy for city to implement the same framework and get it done easily.
Anything else that anybody else would like to add? Yeah.
Also, I can say that the vision of the academia and industry. I believe people who have, like I say, as a panel discussion, people who have 15 years of experience should be allowed to be lecturers. They teach students with academic backgrounds in order to try and get equipped in the situation that are going to need when they get into the industry. That's my opinion.
Anyone else? Some other thoughts that you had? Maybe nothing to add. Yeah.
Most of the people are caring about the AI, like AI is going to take our jobs and making humans into the corners. Like we have to find the new opportunities and we have to learn how to work with AI. In at least 1980 or 1990s, computers came. Most of the people like in banking sector and financial sector, most of them are going to be like a jobless. But after science, then they learn how to work with the computers, how to leverage computers to be more productive. Same scenario nowadays. Like we have to use AI, we have to leverage AI, we have to find out the new opportunities to get more ourselves more productive. That's what my thoughts on it. So I want to add that like all the departments should do some steps so the student can learn some computer skills because I know some of the department, I don't want to mention some of the department don't teach student how to use a computer skill and also digital skill because nowadays digital skill are most important. But our department all the time teaches these things because we are a management department and right now in this world like as our senior said that this AI is everything now. And I don't believe that because AI is also made from the human brain. Human brains are doing it. So our university, all the departments should take the steps so that the student can get some more digital literacy knowledge.
Good point. Very disappointing that you're not adding anything. Uh, there are exactly 5 of you here who are women, and so the majority unfortunately happens to be men. Most of the other women left here. So hearing something from you would add value because you always bring a different perspective. Anyway, I'm just encouraging you to think about something that you'd like to add, but if you don't want to, that's okay. Anyone else? Yeah. So one more thing is regarding the identity, mentioning your name and what you do so that they know who you are. Your name is Varma. I'm the founder of Visakhapatnam Services. We work on business. Yeah, coming to the point, apart from upskilling and developing yourself as the next step, people want to build the future should think of building future products. And they should be also focused on building the native products from their country from the whatever the country you belong to. Not only there are large amount of products in the market from the Western countries, which resembles their culture, their simplicity, and their technology. So technology is nothing different. So you know how to do something, and you find a problem in it. And the technology is a shortcut way
of doing that thing. So you have to bring your own technologies from your native places and from your native countries, so that you can build much more better products from here itself, and you can ship it to the Western countries. So this mindset should also be developed in the people of the upcoming generation of building your own indigenous products. Thank you.
We finished a group discussion and they had some inputs on all of those things. They're just adding to that.
Okay, good afternoon to all of you present over here. And my name is Shri of MSR first year. And I'm saying that we are in the 21st century and everything is going on to improve in worldwide. And nowadays, our industries, IT sectors, and as well as manufacturing industries, everyone needs this things because manufacturing sectors are also using artificial intelligence and machinery, and everything is using going on. And as well as IT sectors also. So the present scenario is going on. Technology plays a vital role in our society so that everyone needs skills. So everyone to learn these skills to update yourself first of all. So if everyone needs knowledge and skills, and only your attitude decides that either you are continue in that company or industry or on anything. So that what we need is we definitely learn what is productivity or something artificial intelligence, what is technology going on, and everything is needed for everyone. So that if we learn all these things, then only we can survive in any company or industries or manufacturing industry, everything. So that we cannot update ourselves as a technological, then we can't survive in any industry in a globalized era. So that system present, if they are not promote the technical education, ourselves will take initiation and to learn all the things what is going on and the necessary things definitely we learn and then only we can survive in any industry in the present globalized. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. This is Yemen. Okay, so when it comes to modernized technologies and all, sometimes when we get back to the SPI bank, it is located here in India as well as in many countries more such as Bangladesh, I think in Nepal sometimes. So when you look at SPI 5 years ago, it was almost full of employees, full of customers, full of people. But these days, if you look at it, almost 5 customers a day, 10 customers a day. Why is that? So why do you think this is happening? Okay, so we call this modernizing as well as changing the traditional work model into modernized work model. So let's say traditional work models such as less use of technology, high amount of workload, as well as old methodologies such as full-time work, part-time job, these things. So in order to move ourselves from old or traditional models of work, we have to incorporate flexibility as well as gig companies, let's say gig companies that have a company which is enhancing flexibility, remote work, cooperation, and as you know, customer experience satisfaction. So these things must be considered in order to move on from old and traditional models of work to new modernized, as we call it, models of work. So thank you so much. That's all.
Yes, yes, yes. I think the
Yes, everyone. As you all mentioned, my name is Andhra University. I think technology. I don't need.
no. We need it for the recording.
Okay. I think that not only technology is developing, the human brains are also developing. As we all, as each of society, now we are understanding that AI is coming, that it's getting more tougher. But learning new things like the technology is developing more. Maybe after the people are living high-tech lives after the COVID, because before COVID the people are mostly they live it like my generation, and I didn't know after COVID this AI everything Python. Were once upon a time they existed, but now they are coming to the lives of the people. So we should make sure that we should learn new skills according to how our standard of living has.
Thank you. So, yeah, uh, Veronica, how would you using whatever you've heard so far about not just here, but in terms of what you've been hearing about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and so on, how do you think the banking system where you work in will change? Now,
Even banking industries are also updated with the technology, but to be frank, using the technology is very much important. Nowadays, I mean, almost a 5-year-old guy or 6 years can use YouTube. But in our 90s, we are 90s kids actually. I'm 90s. We never knew that. But using the technology plays a vital role instead of telling AI, IoT. From the schooling. Banking industry, even they are also using lots of tools, but the transparency won't be there. Transparency won't be there. As well, to be frank, banking industry culture has changed literally drastically. It has changed, but only thing which sustains in banking industry is sales. Thank you.
thank you. So much. You can, of course, keep it better than you can use your head of the students. Thank you. Of our session today happens to be the registrar who had come earlier. He went off on another meeting. He's waiting in the room next door. Vinay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let me add a couple of points to all of you who are here. Uh, since most of you are from Andhra University, I want to quickly mention that I'm a part of the Alumni Association right now. And so, those of you who are studying right now, after a few years, you're going to be finishing and you're going to be moving on to either back to your countries or back to your states or back to your or moving on to get a job offer somewhere. So when you do that, don't forget the alumni association that there is an alumni association that exists because we're doing a bunch of programs that we would like to make sure that the
alumni are connected with one another. We are enabling this. We are enabling this just because we want to make that connect happen. Before others give a word of thanks and all of that, the Registrar is going to speak for a few minutes. I thank you all for participating. And now that the Registrar is here, over to him. Thank you, Srinivas. Thank you, Ravi, for inviting me. Although the never awarded program came here deliberately to understand what are the future skill sets needed to all of you in your career now and beyond 2030. Right? This is going to be precisely the theme. And all of you may think that future skill sets are highly technology. It is not only technological, if you look at the human side, the other side of the perspective of the skills needed, equally important human skills. Your emotional intelligence, right? Your social consciousness, your relationship building and inculcating such relationship through networking, they are also equally important. Now, change is inevitable, all of you know. Now, when I was at your age, the environment was totally different. The employability skill sets, they were totally different. It is in India abroad. But today, the job skill sets needed, and also even entrepreneurial skill sets needed. They are undergone sea change. They are not same. It is not only technological environment, what we see, use of robots, application of artificial intelligence into your automated manufacturing and service systems, and also use of robotics, right? Machine learning, all these, we hear a lot, and it's wide-ranging applications. So when you're there in work environment, can you ignore data science? Can you ignore analytics? Right? Can you ignore artificial intelligence? But you can never ignore emotional intelligence. The emotional intelligence is very much needed. Your social skill sets, how you get along with others in the work environment. What is your stability to cope up with changing environment? Adaptability, flexibility. If you are rigid, you are gone. How receptive you are, how open-minded you are. What is your dynamism? How fast you learn? All of you think is important. I say how fast you unlearn is also equally important. Like how much learning is important, unlearning, relearning. How you orient, reorient. So the changing circumstance. Adjustable. Very important in the future environment of the society, be it business, be it any manufacturing unit or servicing industry, wherever you go. Certain skills are very basic. You can never ignore them. The future skill sets, if I am asked to explain, same skill sets which are going to be relevant. These are so basic. Like people say intelligence. Intelligence is needed in any job, in any career. Without intelligence, some people say if you are a management professional, more than intelligence, you need wisdom. There is a difference between intelligence and wisdom. Right? How you convert your intelligence based on your knowledge foundation. How you convert your knowledge into wisdom and skill sets. When we say skill is the art of application of knowledge. How this power can be converted into a tool so that you survive. Your tool should always be most appropriate. And we say in your career, in job market, always
make a comparison. You make a comparison to contextuality, relevance, and also how far I'm going to be one among the top 10, if not number one. What is needed? How much you need to focus upon by skill sets to be made contemporary. Then this is your concern. You need to be flexible. If you say no, I have learned enough. I am Ahmedabad business school, so I need to learn anything beyond. Learning, as all of you know, is continuous, lifetime. Therefore, we need to be open-minded. Sometimes ideas may come from much less educated people than highly educated people. So creativity knew no boundaries. Creativity is not restricted to only educated people. And creativity has no restriction to education. As all of you know, I have seen the best innovations in the world. They are all coming from even uneducated.
Any one instance you have learned from this educated person? Just,
I tell you, when we visit Hindustan Shipyard Limited, in an in-house magazine on the cover page I have seen, a small unskilled worker photographed with CMD, very unskilled worker for his brilliant idea that had saved company several lakhs of rupees when they modified the standard operating procedure. And who was designated? And above him, several skilled staff, several supervisors, several managers, right? Managers of different stature and character. There is a GM, there is a senior general manager, there is a ED, executive director reporting to CM. But nobody could get the idea. The idea has generated from a small worker. Asked how come an unskilled or semi-skilled worker could suggest this modification in the existing standard operating procedure that has led to saving of several lakhs of rupees every year. He was awarded cash prize of 50,000 rupees for the brilliant idea through an open session system. They have a suggestion box. Anybody can draw. This is how organizations need to be dynamic, receptive, accept ideas if they are practical, if they are sound. Like this, I think several examples are there. You know, Infosys Narayanamurthy, the other day, he was telling how the tea vendor has given a suggestion to improve the efficiency of maintaining hygiene. How he has saved cost minimization and efficiency improvement. Because the suggestion given by a tea vendor. So do you think that these are practical examples? So creativity is present in every human being. It has nothing to do with education. It is our misconception and prejudice also to think that smart ideas come only from educated people. I have seen, I shared it in fact with Ravi, a village boy, how he invented the solar powered motor or cycle. It's no education at all. But still he invented something new. Why so many engineers, electrical engineers, electronic engineers, why they did not get the idea? And our students also, they, from the waste, they created battery-driven vehicle. Yeah. Yes. Also, private and crude is a vehicle practically useful at a minimal cost. On the scrap they build. See, all these startup ideas, whatever we get, definitely need to be linked to education. That's one thing. So your is important. If you enter into corporate, and also peer group of such, you can see in top global level companies, students of the same business school join together. They encourage internal. That is alumni relation. They try to induct as many as from the same business school because they share ideologies, similarities in their attitude, work culture. This could be the reason, right? This is the rationale. But what is important? Whatever be the future technological environment, now we are all in digital era. Everything is undergoing a sea change. Digital formats, they are overruling the physical sets of formats, right? Everywhere, be it manufacturing industry, service industry, digitalization is state of the art. How you are going to digitalize, how you are going to use technologies, improved technologies. Very much. When we say a paradigm shift, the basic principles are put to drastic change. See changes to place. The models, the systems, the procedures, right? The quality, the outcome is also equally changed. How was mobile phone 10 years ago? What is mobile phone today? What is operating system in a desktop? When I was doing my program at IIM in Ahmedabad, we used to carry a copy. MS DOS. We used to preload. Not only we used to work. Whether you want to work, words of erase, waters 1, 2, 3. We used to carry 3 more copies in a box. We used to preload, waters 1, 2, 3. Make sense for testing. We used to feed data and then analyze. But today it's needed. It's not needed. But your mobile phone itself is Microsoft Windows operating system Android. See how simple the whole world is at your fingertips. So technology is bringing revolutionary changes. But what is going to be the consequence? What is going to be the impact? All of you see only a machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics changing the manufacturing systems. Standard manufacturing systems and models are put to severe change. But what is its impact on social system? That is also equally important. And at the end, all these innovations are happening in whose benefit? For whose cause, reason, and purpose? There should be a meaningful social purpose. If you ignore social purpose, your innovation has no meaning at all. If you ignore human being and his welfare, any innovation has no importance at all. So whatever the innovation, you should create welfare of the mankind and the planet. That is your environmental standards, the green environment, how your innovation is going to maintain ecological balance. Suppose you innovated something, a good automobile, how comparable to the environmental standards? Can you ignore that? Nothing is at a cost of any natural resource. It is not only development. What is the slogan today? Sustainable development. How you sustain it? How you conserve resources? Resources are fast depleting. How your technology is going to Nerma has reduced distribution cost is a wonder. The multinational company like Wheeler, how are they able to reduce distribution cost through their best logistics system? Do you know who has implemented this logistics system of Nerma? IIM Allahabad, BGP, fourth semester, as a part of project work they have done. And the faculty mentor happened to be same to me. That time they were discussing and sharing this information. They were solely responsible. Students like you. How innovative? They transported loose detergent powder in syntax, empty water tanks in every railway wagon. Because the charges are same. Right? Then you are transporting empty water tanks, syntax water tanks from sea of several cities, of course. But basically, this syntax water tanks, this demo is located in Ahmedabad. From Ahmedabad, any wagon carrying syntax water tanks empty, they are fully charged for the space occupied in the wagon. Whether you load it, something inside or not, you have to pay charges. So, Nerma got an arrangement by paying 40% of the transportation cost, which is a benefit to the syntax water tank, and also they securely, safely, they are transported without any packaging. There is a saving in packaging cost. Very safely reaching in almost all destinations. So that has drastically reduced the transportation cost. So what it says that has resorted to several nasty things in India still never survived because of the creativity that has come from IMB, be it advertising costs, be it promotional tools, be it logistics, be it channel of distribution, be it packaging, and the flexible manufacturing systems, use of heavy manpower in packing and cleaning. No machinery is used. It has empowered several downtrodden, backward people who are given income. This is so simple. At the end of the day, what is important as I said in the beginning? Important. I have a new idea. You have to count not only product efficiency, what is its impact on society. Suppose we reduce a vehicle that has highest safety norms, but highest pollution causing vehicle. Do you suppose such idea? No, you don't accept. It fit into efficiency, but it fails to fit into social life. Any innovation in future should have a social dimension. So think over, think beyond. This is what is known as out of box thinking. People say, all of you advise that you need to think out of box. What is out of box thinking? If you think within those set parameters as limitations, you can have growth. One need to overcome those limitations, hurdles, boundaries. So that beyond a boundary, there is a line. So you are going to prove that your section is awarded if you go out of boundary, right? So you are also rewarded. Think that way. If you are like anybody else, everybody carries the same skill. Suppose I got best communication skill. I think these days everybody's communication is good. I say, so what? And what is your reply? Everybody's communication is good. Your communication is also good. I agree. So what? What is next? Because of this communication, my networking ability is so good. Little extension, right? Because of networking, how this company is going to gain, how society is going to gain, how it is going to become beneficial to you as an individual and to the society and to the company. How you are going to bring congruence on all three dimensions. That is also important, right? I think probably this is concluding session. I know I can teach like this is the weakness of any professor. Once the mic is given, all together we can talk. But I tell you, what is all important to all of you, future skill sets. One is cognitive ability, all of you definitely possess. But the cognitive ideas from others with open mind. Whether it is good or bad, never judge initially. You should have ability to extend adapt if necessary. Cognitive flexibility. This is very much required in the near future, the future skill set. Then, needless to mention, all of you need to possess as a management officer. I always emphasize a management graduate should have decision making ability. When we say decision making ability, it requires a lot of other skill sets, right from identifying the problem, defining the problem with clarity, right, well-defined problem is solved, and decision making ability is identifying alternative solutions, choosing most appropriate solution, cost benefit, conducting cost benefit analysis, risk analysis, finally judgment. Suppose if you get a decision, decision is not important. Never. What is important? Judgment, rationality. The reason why you have chosen this is important. Be prepared to give rationality to your judgment, not only decision making. Definitely, it is going to help you in whatever age you are going to live. Be it 2030, 2040, 2050 also. The decision making and judgment is going to be a great concern for all. This is my understanding. So it is also important very good. Right? Be socially conscious, be concerned about the social challenges. Right? The social dimension should enable all of you in understanding the problems of the society. You come out with creative solutions. You are going to be there forever. You forget about the generation. Future generation. As long as you are concerned about to achieve your career goals, career objectives without much difficulty. And needless to mention, creative and innovative mindset. Right? How creative I am is going to be concern for today. And like Varma, so I asked, soap industry is divided. Always I give example in marketing class. How many ways soap industry is divided? Suppose if you say I am a soap manufacturer, very loosely defined. This is what is known as marketing area. I asked whether it is toilet soap or detergent soap. Uh, you know, Ayurvedic soap, chemical soap, cleansing soap, non-cleansing soap. Is it so that is it soap for body? Is it soap for face? Is it soap in liquid form? Is it soap in liquid form? Is it soap for controlling aging process? Like understand? There is a soap only for header. Soap. Marketing soap diversion. Endless segmentation, and selection of target market. The more precisely you define and match your ability, when I say your ability, your competencies, your resources, your objectives, the requirements of the market, you will be successful today, tomorrow, beyond. As a company, as an individual, how you are relevant to society. You ask, what is your contribution to society? Why society should feel you? You know that? That is today so complicated in the world. Therefore, in conclusion, the future skill sets definitely what is our reliance to the future society. Either with technological, the social dimension. Objective or goal, yes, we could ask. But why is set ambitious one? Yes, enormous weight on the younger generation. Either in both in whatever platform you always post, demography dividend. The younger population, they are proportionately higher than over population. Recently, I was in Japan. Wherever I go, in railway station, or on road, or in a department store, or in a hotel, I came across only aged population, above 60, 70, 80. That is not so India. We are young. We are enormous people in India. And say, when I say young India, you are all responsible for this. And you all work in question for the same reason. United, we are strong. We is much